Okay, we are now going to kick it off. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the policy subcommittee of the Medfield Public Schools, and Leo, Graham, and I are here in the room with Jim Hardy. A roll call. Leo Graham here. Tim Knight here.
Jim Hardy here.
Jim Hardy is here. And actually, Michael is not here. I think we wanted his eyes on a couple of things, just see if he's going to be able to come down. Quick agenda review, and then we'll go. Okay. Just quick. Let me put on video too. Quick agenda review, and Jimmy, we have section. But I wanted to do three things. One was just spend a couple of minutes as we kick off the year and re-engage in the process. Just where are we now?
Mm-hmm.
What does the future look like? Which I'll walk through in a second. Second, we're going to try to get through at least section E and F and potentially G. I think it was Michael who suggested we might be able to get the trifecta. And third, and what we may do, Leo, before you leave, is look at calendars. What I'd love to do is just have ourselves locked out, going all the way in through the end of the calendar year.
Sure.
We're really the three items. If I can get screen share for 1 second, just want to share something that shows where we are, and make sure I have that. And something just for Leo to get input, because it might be something easier that we effectively can post this on the website, or post something like this. So this is a document here. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
That we're working on with Andrea. It just shows the sections that we've done. I think the term we've been using, and I forget why the acronym, it's section A, V1. I guess V1 speaks for itself. So we've done that initial review here. Then we brought it as an informational item to the school committee. Then we did our first reading, and typically you do second reading and vote. Nothing's up. We haven't voted on it. So we have A and B really we've gone through second reading. We're ready for vote. C and D we've provided to the school committee as an informational. You might ask them, because I appreciate everything that you've done helping us. If you notice, we were slowed down. We had 2 new members.
Sure.
So I think it was just tough to, if you're a brand new member, the first thing you're doing is reviewing this. So that's where we slowed down a little towards the end of the year. And but we have a meeting on October 12th. My hope is that we can bring these 2 forward for first reading as well. And I would probably hold off on the vote for A and B, and then just maybe bring A, B, C, and D forward for a vote. And that should get us kind of in sync, because depending how far we get today, we should start seeing, if you look at the schedule, you have each section, we can gradually be working down the line. Leo, you had asked at one point, and maybe if you can just re-describe as well, we vote them, and then we vote it in form. And if you maybe want to just talk to the logic.
What we want to make sure we don't create inconsistencies within the district in the policy manual. So whatever your policy manual is right now is still in force. By approving a section in form, it basically says that the committee is approving the changes that have been suggested through the work and their discussions at first reading, second reading. But your old policy manual is still in force. Now, if there was something that we needed to address individually policies, you could take a policy out and address it. We did that with a couple of them. Then once all 12 sections are approved in form, that's when the motion would be to adopt the sections previously approved in form and rescind all previous versions of the policy manual. So it basically removes any existing policies that are not in the new manual, and you have a fresh start date for when the manual takes effect. If you find yourself, the committee needs to change or amend or adopt a policy that's come up that you don't have, you can do that through your normal process. You just let me know if the committee adopts a specific policy.
So that your manual gets
so that
updated.
we include that in this review, so we don't take a step backwards. You adopt a new policy, change a policy, whatever the case might be, and you don't tell me about it, then I don't capture that change in our review. So if it's a section we've already done and approved in form, then that change doesn't go back to it.
You need to update it if we make any changes.
Right. So that way I can roll it back, and then I can make a note on it that in the file that, let's say, you change your mission statement. So you change file AD. Even though you previously approved an AD file in form, you updated your mission statement. So I could make a note on it that this is the mission statement that was approved on whatever that date was, that the committee voted to change it. So you, in reviewing it, when you get the final copy, you know that it captured the latest vote or the latest change the school committee approved. We always encourage the committee that if you need to adopt or amend a policy, don't wait for the review. Go ahead and do it, and then we'll capture it.
Yeah, like we have one coming up. I think it's going to be first reading service animal policy.
Right.
So we'll bring that.
Yeah.
We have something on wellness. So, but I think we are going to try. And I looking at my screen, I see light at the end of the tunnel. That we can get there. So we're going to try to keep things. There's a few others that I think we need to address, or I'd like to see that. In theory, if we can get through looking at calendars.
Mm-hmm. You can start maybe plugging dates into these.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do quickly. Like, I don't know whether. I think monthly is probably about right. Bi-weekly, the only reason I would schedule bi-weekly is because I know one of those two will get canceled. Right. So, but if we, what I wanted quickly, Jim, was just your general view. Sometimes you say, hey, section such and such, that's a long one. So if we can maybe look and just say, like,
well, section I and J are the two biggest sections of the manual.
Okay. So that
I is the instructional program. That's where the service animal policy will live. And J is all about students. So it's attendance, code of conduct, enrollment. You may have class size policies. You may have dress code policies.
okay.
If you have a cell phone policy, that's where that would live. The internet technology policies are also in section I as well, because it's more instructional related than it is student centered.
Okay. And we're just like a general theme, so we're at least we're on the same page. Things like cell phone. I don't know that we're necessarily taking them and, completely reevaluating.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair. It's something that's on the radar for us, but I think we're kind of listening to the administration and they're going to report back on us. My general theme is we want to, the manual's working where it is, and ideally we would continue to move it out. So the ask for you is consistent. Let's do the must-haves, absolutely. The nice-to-haves raised. I think in order to gain momentum, we can get everything digitized. We can flag some additional policies and then say, okay, well, that's what maybe the next year looks like.
Okay. Well, do you want to, let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Do you want to do you want to schedule bi-weekly for the next 2 months or something?
I'm okay. Let me ask one question. Assume INJ one meeting, like one meeting, we might be able to get through it, or is it when you're saying it?
No.
Okay. So
Well, you would never get through I, E, and J in one meeting.
No, I agree with that.
A
meeting.
It depends.
Okay.
A lot of it's going to depend on those are the two sections I strongly recommend the administration review prior to our meeting, and then someone from the administration is here to kind of talk through what something, because is everything to do with instruction. So we want to make sure that things like the field trip policy aligns with your practices and so forth, and a lot of the instruction stuff, the internet or the technology use policy aligns with your practices. Codes of conduct align with what's going on in the district. I know you just had new handbooks. So with their handbook changes that affect the code of conduct, we want to make sure we capture those, because we don't want to create a contradictory document where the policy says one thing and the handbook says something else. That's where we would capture, you pick up those changes as well. So usually whoever if you have a instructional leader, whether it be a director or I don't know if it's an assistant superintendent or whatever, but whoever that person is would review that and then have the technology person review the technology policies. And then in the student section, it's really good that either the superintendent or some principals weigh in on. And that could be the superintendent could share with principals and then get their feedback. And then the superintendent would be here for the discussion. All of those sections are ready to go, so I could send them to you at any time so that you can start sharing those with the appropriate people that you think or that Jeff thinks is most appropriate for them to review.
That would be fantastic.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to do when I share that spreadsheet. I'm just taking a couple notes here. I can bring it up. As I share that spreadsheet, I think we are starting a website now with AABCD as its own, and we can put those up, in advance, at least what you have in there. And yeah, we would definitely ask Jeff and team to review. I think that makes sense.
But just as we had your finance person look at section D.
Yeah. Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Okay. And yeah, I'm okay if we target, just because of what we've done in the past, if we target every other week, that's okay. And then
Let me
we
just
have
look
canceled.
at, see how that forecasts out. Because we do have the joint conference.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to step on that.
I think my boss wouldn't let me step on that.
Oh, you're presenting, man. Let's see
Well,
what you talk
I'm
about.
working it more than anything else.
I've seen you talk. Give us like all the.
So 2 weeks would be Friday, October 13th. Anybody superstitious?
Nope.
I'm not.
I'm not, hold on one sec. There's something on my. Yeah, it's okay as long as I just have to be done by 11, which is fine. But if we block, try to go on 2-hour blocks.
Okay, so it'd be 10:13. Then 10:27. That good?
Okay, I think it's okay by me. Do this. I'm just gonna do bi-weekly and see what happens.
10:10 is the conference week.
Yeah, so or 11:10, you mean?
11:10, I'm sorry. So I think we should do 11:17 because the following week's Thanksgiving week,
Okay.
which would put us at 12:01.
Just the quick changes. 13:27. So the 10:10 one. Make that 10. Yep.
Then 12:15. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back for a second.
It would be, did you say, and I'm just catching up, did we do 12:1 or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to back out of the 17th.
Okay.
November 17th.
Let me just mark them here and I'll get them later.
So we're gonna have to go from 10:27 to 12:01. Unless you want to do 2 in a row and do 11:3, like 10:27 and 11:3.
Let's, if it's okay,
Yeah.
let's tag it. And I think the balance will be,
Yeah.
each one starts running, but we might. We'll probably cancel one so that we're not bringing like 5 sections to one meeting to the school.
But you can
committee.
still, I mean, even though we do the work, you can always spread them out when the
Makes sense.
delivery of it, the delivery of the school committee. So 11/3, then 12/1, 12/15 would be every other week, and that would
Yeah.
get us to
That's
the end of
not
the calendar year.
Yeah.
So that's 5 meetings.
Okay. Yep. And
So-
did you say, because I've been going
Yep.
down since you said 10:10?
10/13.
10:13. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I'll do is I'll tag offline, I'll tag sections, like I'll update the sheet. And I'll try to bring that as something to our meeting too. That shows we have a schedule and this is what we're.
So if you put those dates in, so 10/13 would potentially be probably, I would say, schedule G and H. I don't know if we're gonna get through 3
Yeah,
sections.
based
today.
on what we're doing today, that's fine.
Right.
13.
10/27 would be section I. 11/3 would be section J, or finishing section I. 12/1 would be K and L. And that would leave 12/15 as a buffer. So with this schedule, it is potential, we have the potential to get through the rest of this manual by the end of the calendar year.
So 10:13 for H, 10:27 for I. What did you say?
11/3 for J.
For J, yep.
12/1 would be K and L. Those are smaller sections. We should have no
Okay.
problem getting through those in one meeting.
Okay.
And that would leave 12/15 as a fallback catch up.
Yeah. If we're on this schedule, we're doing great. Okay.
And 9 to 1, at 9 to 11, that's the plan.
Yeah, let's hold it 9 to 11.
Okay.
Standing meeting. I'll work on that with getting this room. Okay, so that sounds good. And one thing, let me make sure if I can get these. We're on Zoom, we're recording. There should be. And I'm gonna see if I can get this up in a minute on the screen, but there should be a Zoom in there. And by all means, yeah, by all means. Where was I? Oh yeah, I neglected all my excitement to get this out. We just want to approve the minutes from. Let me make sure I have the right dates from. Let me check on that. What were the minutes? Because I just don't have the agenda, so let's validate that. Do you have the agenda up? Chance, Leo?
What's that? The agenda? Yeah.
Up. Can you just read what the minutes are? Maybe you can even bring a motion for.
Approval of minutes from 3/9 and 3/23.
I guess it's so moved.
Yeah, yes, right. All in favor?
Aye. Good night.
There we go.
Okay, so those will go forward. And one pause if we can. I'm gonna try. If it's a big delay, I apologize. I don't know. Usually ask them.
It looks like the Apple TV is up and running.
Is there a different one? This is Netflix. This is always other. I should have Apple TV, right?
Yeah.
The other day. Or yesterday, I couldn't get on the network in here.
It's called Cheney Hall. Okay. And in your cast up top there, it'll look like this. Cheney Hall.
It should be under here.
So you go to here. No, literally around here.
Yeah, you gotta fix it.
Yeah. Go down to here.
sound.
Yeah, you should be able to cast.
Mirroring, yeah.
There it is. Check out. Yeah. Maybe. Enter the password.
I don't think I can say that now. See what happens. I don't know it. We are not. Yeah.
Hit the settings button, see if it's automatically stored in there.
Yeah.
Been down this road before, huh?
I guess not.
I'll back up and see if it's okay.
Back out.
No, this should be a backshot.
Good Lord. This is.
There it is. Not now.
So what I do?
Not
Is
the
it?
password.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
No, I
I don't
don't
think we're
know.
gonna do it. So let me go back to sharing your screen and let's go into section E.
Hold on a second. Maybe I can do something there.
Just a quick, while we wait, Jim, so we have, that would be our schedule. So E today, and F 1013, G and H, I 1027, J 11.3, K 12.1. And Jim, once you tell me you're ready, just let me know.
Okay.
I don't know if
See if,
Recording in progress.
are you just trying to do a share on that? Thing is,
you're sharing your screen, so I can't.
I can stop share. Yeah, that's great if you can just do it direct into the Zoom. One question is to see if somebody here usually
They said they won't be until 10.
Excuse me?
They won't be until 10.
Oh, that's what they said.
Apple ID. The account is meetings@medfield.net. I'm sure Owen does.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Test.
I think we'll do the best we can. Okay, so we're being recorded on Zoom and we'll do the best we can. And sorry, we can't share or that.
Those personalized service. Look at that.
MASC.
That's mine, but it may see.
Okay. We're now ready.
Oh. Okay. Mhm. I tried.
I have one. I was even thought about it. And there's no batteries.
Yeah, mine is.
So we have an awesome schedule. We are excited about the meeting and we will have technology tax reduced for our next meeting. And I just need to go a little larger on your version. so I can read it.
Let's see if I can go a little bigger too.
Yeah, if you can do 1 or 2, that's okay. That's perfect.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
All right, file EA, we have no recommended changes to it.
Okay.
File EB, to be consistent, we've been changing school system to school district.
Okay.
And the legal references have been updated as well. Instead of doing like the acts of 1985, we're actually putting the actual statute as a reference, and we take away the Board of Education because they don't call it that anymore.
Right.
So we just simply list 603 CMR 36.0.
Okay.
But that's to help with the linking. It goes online. So they just click on the legal reference, it'll take you right to it. EBAB is the pest management policy. This would be new to Medfield. It is a required document. This meets the minimum standards established by the Department of Public Health. I'm sorry for that loud cough if anybody's watching.
It's gonna break the internet. So many people.
So this is a required policy, so you need to adopt this.
Okay.
Is that? The Apple TV chainery, the Apple TV will then issue a code that will show on the TV. Yeah, same new Mac. That's fine. We'll the later because it is.
It's asking for the Apple ID. So
Let's not worry about it.
yeah, but we're not wrong.
If we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because we're gonna Leo's.
Oh, thank you.
And she's gonna be in at 10.
Right. Yes. We're releasing weight loss, usually long and
That's right. Thank you very much. Let's got it up on Zoom and nobody's here. And we've offered it. So I think we're okay.
Okay, next one up is first aid, and there are some changes that are being recommended to this policy. So I'm going to scroll to the second one here, and it's really in, I'll go back to the first one here. This line here, that paragraph, we have removed simply because even if a child was older, you wouldn't send them home alone. And based off of feedback we received from school nurses, that paragraph makes no sense. So, but we did want to acknowledge that in the case of an emergency, the school has the authority to make arrangements for immediate transportation to a hospital if required. And then, of course, once EMS shows up, they're in charge.
So in that, I've been just bouncing a little bit. I took a note. You're reusing the same code in terms of changes, which we put out there. So when I'm looking at yours, like you saying, we removed that. I just didn't see how that's being marked. Okay. And that's EBB.
EBB. Yeah.
Okay. So EBB and just my notes of just saying changes that are.
From a technical standpoint, it's easier to simply just adopt the new one and delete the old one rather than cutting and pasting or just deleting a paragraph because of the verbiage.
Yes, but the changes really are, and I won't say logistics, but it's just like almost like common sense changes. Just, you know.
This next one, EBB-E, we're recommending removal because it's more procedural in a form, and we typically do not encourage forms to be posted in the manual because you want to be able to update them. And the same as with EBB-R, it's not really policy. This is in like a nurse's procedural manual, not a policy manual.
Gotcha.
And as far as emergency cards, that's part of school admissions. So we are recommending taking it out. I'm gonna keep going unless I hear comments or objections, all right?
That's okay by me.
Emergency.
And with just one comment too, which we may ask Andrea, as this is being recorded, to help us with the minutes.
Sure.
Just so that we may be asked later, why did we do X, Y, or Z?
Right.
And I don't want to be, I want to focus on what they are
Yep.
and getting the notes rather than getting the notes perfect.
The next file up is emergency plans, EBC. We are recommending removal of the Medfield one because it does not contain some required elements. In particular, we needed to include language about AEDs, automated external defibrillators, as well as their maintenance, and the fire drills and emergency response drills. And emergency response drills fall the category if you do shoot a scenario or intruder into a school scenario or whatever that drill is you're trying to do. And then the CPR and first aid for teachers, athletic coaches, trainers, and anybody else is required to have it. All of that was not in the previous version and has been since included in mandatory.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. And again, the legal citations are there.
Okay.
EBC, we could take out now.
Yep.
I never want to see this again, personally. This was the supplemental policy we had put in place during COVID because there were many decisions that had to be made. And
Yep.
without.
Look, I just gave a look of what you said a minute ago. When I said, I never want to see it again. And then I was like, oh yeah, those were.
And then the same thing with EBCS, these are all, again, all COVID related.
Okay.
If no, I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, I know. I know what you were.
We have them.
Yes, got it.
Then we have safety drills, which the previous EBC policy covers. So this is redundant,
Okay.
and that's actually that legal reference is outdated too. The state fire marshal has updated the regulations. I know this is being recorded, but should never have public what your reaction is going to be to a bomb threat.
Makes sense.
Yep.
That makes, yeah.
This is where those emergency manuals that are probably located next to every single phone in the schools. That's where it should be.
Or in the desk drive, right where they were placed. when they were
Same
first
thing with the
created.
form.
Yep.
Let's see, we have no recommended changes for emergency closings. And again, this covers not only weather related issues, but for any other reason you have to close one school versus all schools. We good?
Yes.
Okay. And then.
Just pause one second.
Yep.
And any chance you can dial while you're.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, just if
Absolutely.
you have.
Yep.
And again, this is like information that's in handbooks, EBCD-E-1, all of this, like, because it's specific to each school. And this is here as exhibit, not a policy anyway. And these things may change depending on weather conditions.
Okay. Yep.
So. And I don't know if you've changed school names or. This doesn't have a date on it, so I really don't know how old it is.
Yeah, moved down to the Jim Harvey School.
E2, again, this is the superintendent's authority to decide, how this is going to be in a publicity telephone chain call system. Really
Yeah, that's
outdated.
outdated. Yeah.
So again, this would be in handbooks.
Yeah.
Same thing with this 2-hour delay policy. It's all handbooks.
Probably what happened was they at some point went into handbooks and we just never.
Lifted it out and just never put it back in again.
Okay.
Face coverings,
Take that out.
take that out. Although the way it's written, it says if ever needed, but if ever needed, you can pull it back.
There'll be a whole new debate.
Yeah, no, I just assume make it go away. File EC, the only recommended changing here is the pronoun use. Here, that highlighted he, she. And generally what we do is, oh, wait a minute. Generally must be the superintendent, and you just say the superintendent again. Will work. Bless you.
God bless.
Other than that, that's the only recommended changes. ECA, again, the only recommended changes we're making is the term watchman in this paragraph, and just replacing with security personnel.
Yep.
Oops. Remind me to tell you the personnel story after this meeting's over. I don't want to take time up here to do. Vandalism, again, the only changes we have recommended is the pronoun use here.
That's gonna be throughout all these policies for sure.
Can't we get a ChatGPT to make all those for me? There's the global find, but it's not like there's some intelligence once in a while that needs to be brought
Well,
up.
I mean, I do, when I produce the final document, I always go back and check, and I do global searches for certain phrases, but he, she, him, her, his, hers.
There's always, it's not.
There's always one that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said that facetiously because it's more than global find and replace. But there's just a little more that anyway.
ECAF, security cameras in schools. This, you do not have this policy, and if you have cameras, you have to have a policy that talks about.
And should we be lifting that one? Like bringing that forward?
No, you can do it as part of the, it's not one of those things that's critical. That's like get you in trouble kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
ECE, traffic and parking controls. Driving and parking on school property are privileges granted by the school committee to persons who have reasons. Really?
Hold on 1 second. Persons have reasons to be in the schools. I would just maybe that's just one we flag because I don't know if there was any
don't
reason.
Believe that this is necessary.
Yeah, that would be that's my opinion wholeheartedly.
I'm just gonna make a note necessary.
Or,
I don't believe so. I'll put this.
I just want to validate on that one. Like in my only thought, I don't know why you would put that in there.
It's not a common policy we see. Maintenance and control of instructional materials. I believe this is referring to this. Authorized use of state, because it's not just instructional materials.
Just give me a second.
Let me know when you want to flip to the second one.
Okay, go ahead.
So you had both of those in the manual.
Are you suggesting?
I would rather have one
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
complete rather than two.
Can we
That
combine them?
one could step on another. Just pause for 1 second if you don't mind. I just had a flag come up and I just want to cancel a meeting.
Okay.
That I shouldn't have. I don't know why it's coming up. Okay. It's already canceled. Sorry. And so you did when I just got this.
Yeah, we eliminated just the one that was instructional materials and used the combination authorized use of school-owned materials, which includes instructional materials and any equipment owned by the schools.
Okay, yeah, and many of these I will, that's why I say we built in a little time, but, we're gonna take these changes and then review with the administration, I think, before I bring them for information.
Next up is a use of a portable wheelchair lift. I'm not quite sure why you have a policy for this.
I was gonna say, doesn't this
It's a
fall
school
under?
committee policy, versus just it's the principal's responsibility.
And just. And then the only, and if it's the principal's responsibility though,
Doesn't this fall
somewhere,
under-
the only thing I see is trained authorized users.
Right, and the other thing is in the third paragraph, if that is required by outside users, town employees, elected officials, or other approved building use persons or groups, this must be noted on the approved building use form. So that's kind of where I see the link to a possible having a policy in place is
So my opinion is if it's there and it's not
hurting anybody.
let's keep it.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, I think there's that balance when you have two that are redundant,
Right.
stepping on one another.
Yeah. Recycled material policy, we have no recommended changes to this.
If you don't mind, remind me, like, why do we mark the date when it was adopted?
Because it's gonna have a new adoption.
It's okay, so everything, the entire okay, got it.
The whole manual will have a date, so I don't want conflicting dates.
Okay.
Oops. See, this one didn't come up because it's just there's an extra space in here.
Or is it designated? Okay. Net, is it that, okay, got it. You're two steps ahead.
EA, transportation services, so, Medfield contracts for school buses, correctly?
Yes,
All right, so with this policy, it's talking about the bid specifications when you go out to bid.
yes,
These are typically the type of things, and these are the legal references that govern bidding for transportation.
okay. And at least we're.
Then we have walkers and riders. Again, this is exactly.
Just one sec.
Yeah.
Leo. I don't know whether
Yeah,
it's
can you hear-
raised a hand either.
Because
Oh, there you go. Leo. I
Yeah.
see Leo raised a hand. Let's
Okay.
just see.
you can't hear me.
And he's not on, he is not on mute. So maybe
Actually-
that was just error.
Yeah, but is your speakers off? Mine are off.
Okay, good. So hold on. One second, Leo. Technology track.
Leo?
Can you turn yours off?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that wouldn't all that MGL around procurement fall under procurement law anyway? Do we need a policy?
For transportation services?
Is that what this one? Oh, no,
Yeah.
before the previous one. Wasn't there a whole thing about procurement?
Get my mouse back.
Maybe not. Okay. I
Previous
must have
one was
misread it.
recycled material policy.
It's okay. Never mind. I must
When
have
I was
misread
talking
it.
about the procurement, it was on if you were contracting or bidding for transportation services. These would be the things required to be put into the bid.
So
Gotcha.
and right now you're not on mute, right?
I
Just so
am.
that you're okay. Leo, 1 second. I'll
I
put
mean,
your volume.
I'm
back
not
It's okay,
If you can hear me.
I'll
through
mute
you-
again.
Yes, got it. Got it.
And
I'll
I'll
mute-
mute
I'll mute
it
again.
just off.
Okay.
It's okay.
So, and Leo, then I'm gonna turn volume back on, just in case. I think what he's saying is there a broader policy around procurement
Yes.
that would warrant the specifics around school transportation? Because, and I'm guessing because there's uniqueness to that. So Leo, I'm gonna put volume back on. I think that's, that at least makes sense to me. But yeah.
Mute yourself
Go ahead.
on the window. Okay. The next one,
Can you go, can you put your volume up? This is, we're all out of practice.
okay, volume's up.
Okay, Leo, any other comments?
Leo's muted.
Ask to unmute. So that means he's okay.
Yeah, I got you. We're good.
Okay, I hear you, Leo.
I think I heard him back.
Okay, I think with the problem, we were getting all that feedback because my mic was on.
Yeah, so if we're all on yours, because you're
Yeah.
doing 90% of the talking,
Okay.
and I'll speak loudly.
Okay. Next one up is file EEAA, walkers and riders. The only question I had, this is again, no recommended changes to this. I just want to make sure that these are the limits. These are the mile limits that you generally have. And it says now that kindergarten, all students except living in the immediate proximity to the school are transported on a bus. Grades 1 through 3, students living more than 1 mile from school are transported. Grades 4 through 6, students living more than 1.5 miles from school. And grades 7 through 8, students living more than 2 miles from school. This was in the current Medfield policy. So if we can just get a confirmation of these.
Michael to confirm on that. My assumption, and that's what I say, I think for enough of this, I'm gonna ask that they, just make sure they're thorough.
Okay. I just put a note to confirm the miles limits.
Yep, thank you.
Yep. And then EEAC, this talks about the bus scheduling and routing, and really that's an administrative task. You determine who's eligible to ride the buses, and administration develops a plan to do that. So it's really not a policy statement.
Just one second. Your recommendation is.
You don't need it.
Just
You're telling the administration to do something they have to do anyway.
okay. That's right.
School bus safety program. Again, no recommended changes to this. This is right out of the regs. And it's required you have this. Usually the evacuations drills occur within the first 2 weeks of school, and then in the spring when the weather's a little bit better, the second one. You really don't want to do an evacuation drill when it's snowing outside. EEAEA. This is the drivers, the district reserve, it's actually the district reserves the right to approve a disapproved persons employed by the to drive vehicles in Medfield. You can't say the bus company can't hire them, but you can say that they can't drive here.
Yeah.
But the difference is number 3 is no longer, you cannot eliminate someone over 70 years of age.
TSA can do that. the pilots.
But you can get a school bus driver, you can get a license to drive a school bus over 70. EEA-1, this would only apply if the drivers worked for you. Since you contract out, the contracting company, the bus company, is responsible to do these drug and alcohol testing.
Yes.
Now, if you have van drivers that are employees of the district, then you would keep this, but get rid of the middle paragraph there.
And, you said,
Like if you have like,
I get the, I think I do
Yeah,
understand that.
okay.
I forget the, exactly how the, then, I believe that's also under their contract.
okay,
And, that's what I say, in the interest of, I would rather, not answer and get the right
Okay.
answer from, Michael with certainty. But I maybe even put that note, but again, I think because we're reporting, I will be put between reporting and reviewing.
Yep.
With the administration, I think it will surface either way. Otherwise, strike.
I'm gonna take this out because it's not legal anymore. Bus maintenance, this is again would be in the bid spec and is not a separate policy. You don't own the buses. This may have been in the district back at a time when you owned your own buses.
And the advantage of leaving it would be if we made that adjustment, if we shifted to own our own.
Yeah, then you'd have to start putting policies like this in.
And it would be a bigger
It's a
process,
big, well,
but I think
right.
it would probably be, I would almost rather, that's gonna be a massive process before doing that. Given, and I would rather than, there's probably
Yeah.
separate things that we would have to take on. So
Yeah.
I'm okay, my
Right.
advice would be striking.
Student conduct on buses, again, the only change we're recommending is adding guardians.
Yep.
Other than that, what we don't typically do here is put the actual code of conduct here. We leave that for the handbook.
So, be more detailed.
Yes.
Okay, we have these reference, is it even worth?
We can.
To say.
Sure.
Every addition. Or
Student transportation and private vehicles. This is when a small group of students are going somewhere and a faculty member or a coach or whatever puts them in their car and drives them. Or a group of students gets in another car for a school event, like leave school. Now, this applies when the students are leaving from school. It does not apply if they're going home first. Like once they're home, that's where the school district's responsibility ends. If that's, and this typically would happen more for sports teams that the facility they practice or play at is not at the school grounds. They have to get to a hockey rink, something like that. So it basically, in order to ensure that the parents are aware that students are being transported in a private vehicle rather than a school bus. It needs to be permission.
The way it reads, it says, may be permitted, then does it?
Right.
That says it's a policy, is there anything?
But may be permitted if the following conditions are met.
Okay.
And then you have to do 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Okay.
And this typically comes up when, like if you have a student athlete that is named to like a all league, whatever, and they have to go to some central place for pictures.
Mhm.
So how do they get there? Either the parents drive them or you have band members that are participating in like SEMSBA. Student transportation assurance, again, this is in your bid specs. This is talking about the contractor having insurance on the buses. But this would be built into the.
Okay.
It's kind of one of the specs for the bid that they have insurance for the vehicles. Again, this is be the contractor's responsibility, not the school district's. Doesn't hurt to have this here, but it's an extra, not something that's needed or required.
Yeah, for now.
It doesn't hurt to have it there, but it's not one of the ones you would typically see. This next one is required. This is idling on school grounds.
Yeah.
I love this line in here where I'm gonna highlight it here.
Yes.
Where it says the term school ground shall mean in or on or within 100 feet of the real property of the school, whether or not its in session shall include any athletic field or facility or any playground used for the school purpose or functions, which is owned by the municipality or the school district, regardless of proximity to the school building. So if you have a school in a neighborhood, it's within 100 feet of the property line, not the school. So whatever the property line is of the school, if there's a house within 100 feet of that line, they can't idle their car in the driveway. But that's what.
That's, and as this is your.
This was, yeah,
personal here.
yeah. This
This
is,
is perfect timing, Mr.
this is,
Francesca. Let me
this-
say it correct.
this is the Department of Motor Vehicles regulation. Idling.
Idling? So, but if you live 100 feet within the grounds of the school, you must comply.
But it's not your job to enforce it. It's the police department's job.
But we have to post it.
You have to post the signs. That's your requirement.
Okay, one, let's just make sure we're good there. What I'm gonna ask, is as we are going through this. I've deferred many instances to Jim's judgment. And in some cases, I said I'd rather just make sure, like as this is recorded, or worst case, you see the changes, that you guys are also thorough. That as we go through just some of these, because there's been a few where I think I know, and I don't think it warrants going back.
Okay.
Through that, Michael. This has been a very good session so far. But section E, yeah, there's enough in there that's more operational that I just make sure we're doing this anyways. For you guys, where we're getting eyes on it. It may even be, I may update our sheet where we have this session, and we maybe even check the fact that it's gone through, Michael, in you or depending if it's, the appropriate person. Yeah. But so far, this is good, and I guess good time, food service is one of the many things. Wonder too if that's been updated with the changes. to state.
Well, that's the question is that currently you don't charge anything for meals.
No.
Right? So,
We only charge for.
a la carte, right? So, but that's that's extra,
It's extra.
right? So, but as far as the basic meal, no one pays, whether they're on free, reduced or not, no one's paying for lunch under the current funding
Yeah.
that's in the budget, but the question remains, what happens if that goes away? And you can either make a note in here that, currently school lunch is provided free of charge to all students. However, if circumstances change, here's the policy that we would follow, or you can just simply take this out and wait to see if it stays.
So my
universal free lunch.
question would be, if we leave it, and it, that we lose that state aid,
Right, then it's there.
then it's there. And if we are effectively
Right.
choosing to provide it, there's no harm by leaving it there.
Correct.
That would
This
just be
doesn't,
my
this,
view.
this doesn't hurt you, keeping it there. I wish, I hope the program stays.
Yeah,
I think everybody does. But it's, subject to appropriation, so.
yes, so
Yeah, so we're in the process of actually putting together a 5-year capital plan because. So it's a recommendation, not a requirement, that best practices basically that we have 3 months worth of operating costs in our reserves. So currently we have over 3 months of operating costs in our reserves. So we're creating a capital plan. So it's a 5-year capital plan to try not to use all the reserves, but to bring it down and start updating our capital, our kitchens, I should say. And we haven't been able to do that in the past because we haven't had 3 months worth of
Right.
operating. So this is a good time to do it. So like in the next few school committee meetings, you'll start seeing, as we're preparing, we're gonna have 2 different capitals. We're gonna have a capital for, that the town will approve, and then we're gonna have a food service capital account to offset those big ticket items in our kitchen.
I've seen people studying ones.
So that's the only change that we have made, in our besides that.
Right.
We're not charging.
So I'm just,
My
just change school
read would be-
system to district and leave it alone.
do that. Michael, I'm not sure if you see it, there's a Zoom, if you want to see what,
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off.
okay.
Okay. Next up is free and reduced, and again, there's no reason to leave, there's no reason to take it out
Recording in progress.
because it may come back. And if it does, you would need the policy. It says in the last paragraph, you look, the school committee will approve a policy statement pertaining to eligibility for free milk, free meals reduced. This is that policy statement.
You might, again, and Michael, maybe just as you go, if you stay on mute. So you
Yep.
talk. Just because I think the audio is on the recording. My view would be leave for now, so that if they change, we don't.
Yeah, I don't think, I know that the state is trying to make a commitment
Right.
for at least, I thought it was,
You good?
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. For, their commitment is a long-term commitment, they're saying. They're looking at obviously the funding and how they're going to fund this and how it's gonna affect chapter 70 and that issue. So I do feel that, leaving the language as it is.
Yep.
right now,
I
There's
agree.
no harm.
There's no.
We're exceeding expectations in the policy.
Right.
Good.
And the same thing with the meal charge policy. This is really kind of directed toward a la carte stuff. Now, in that if students are purchasing a la carte, they do have to pay for it, and there's that account can't go negative.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then if it does, we have to take it out, basically operational dollars to offset the cost.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
Yep.
So we have obviously, like most schools, then we have electronic,
Mhm.
mechanism to collect money when the kids come up to, they have to put their code in,
Right.
and then, and you know, if they have technically, because it's a la carte, if they don't have it in there, you know, they
Right.
can get a free lunch, so we
Right.
don't have to,
Right.
you know, you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where in the past, we would allow kids to go in the credit because it wasn't that everyone got a free lunch.
Correct. So,
But the bottom line is we're still consistent.
yes.
Like with the way it reads right now.
It's
Okay. That's
Yep. Next up, EH data management. This we're doing school district. It's harmless.
Yeah, it's just gonna say if it's already there.
Yep.
um,
Yeah, I'm fine with it. That's section E.
Okay. And Michael, that's what I would ask between us, between you and Jeff, and I was gonna say that is some of the other changes.
Sure.
They will be marked. And these are just, we're doing it anyways, but just a, more thorough review.
Because today was facilities and.
Support services and facilities.
Yeah.
That's section E, is support services, section F is. So I'm gonna stop sharing section E. And I'm gonna open up section F.
And most of the changes were just bringing it up to.
Yeah, he, his, her, he, she, school system versus school district,
Right.
parent, guardian. This whole section was pretty minor.
Yeah, I think maybe we paused one, there was one we marked review with Jeff.
Well, there was the transportation limits. One, the policy said, like kindergarten, everybody gets assigned to a bus, 1 through 3, a mile, 4 through 6, a mile and a half. 6 through 8, I don't know, I forget, there was some limits set by grade.
There is limits set by grade. And that's.
I just wanted to make sure that they hadn't changed, that's.
But. K through 5. We transport everything.
So if you just want to look at that policy, the walkers and riders policy.
We transport kids that are across the street from. Dale Street.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll double check that. 6 through 12 is a different,
What's the theory is again,
the theory.
if you're gonna draw the line where, and then eventually you just.
Many times it's capacity,
Yeah. Right.
if you can, without adding a bus, if you can transport them.
Yeah.
With the buses you would need to do the students you have to transport, and you can fit more people on the bus, why not? It's not costing you any more money.
Yeah, if nothing else, as we review school start times and whatnot.
Yeah,
It's time is money.
Right.
For over time, but I think, again, the spirit of this is also. Things that are working and are not,
Mhm.
politically out of order. Let's keep doing that. And again, that's the ask, it's just offline, make sure.
So this is section F, which is facilities. So the first file that we're recommending you include is section FA, and this is in line with MSBA's. program goals.
Yep.
And you can see that the legal reference includes the 963 CMR, which is different than the previous DESI regs, which were 603, excuse me. So everything in this section is built off of the MSBA program.
Good.
This policy you no longer need. This was in your manual. As you can see, it's a 603 code. So that was the old program. DESI, when DESI ran the school building authority, they put in a requirement that for every bathroom unit, you had to have equal boys and girls. So if you had 4 urinals and 2 stalls, you had to have 6 stalls in the girls' room. And actually, MSBA is going a whole completely different thing with, than this. So this is no longer, this isn't even in the regulations anymore. But it was in Medfield's manual, so that's a cleanup. File FB, this is the, the only question I had is that, is it the town moderator that creates a school building committee and makes the appointment?
So the school.
Or does a town meeting create it and town moderator appoints?
It has just.
Oh, you have a new chart, that's right.
The new chart, that. Do we want to put that whole thing in here? Because it's now, the select board has appoints, I think, 2 people, is school committee appoints people, the moderator appoints people. So it's
So who creates the building committee?
it's created by, it's so the town meeting voted to change the charter. The new charter says that each specific board has a specific amount of individuals that they will appoint to the committee. So it was just like, it was a resignation. The resignation was an appointee of the select board. So the select board gets to now reappoint a new person.
So there's a permanent building committee?
There's a permanent building committee.
Okay,
And then there's a school building committee.
okay,
So there's 2 committees now. In the past, there was 1 committee, which was appointed by the moderator, right? Now
Okay.
it's 2 separate committees.
So what I'm wondering is if you may want to put this in our court to just
I think we just take the new
correct, take the new
language.
and drop it in.
Okay.
And just let's mark that,
And
action or something like that.
Andrea can do that for us.
Excuse me?
Andrea can do that for us.
Yeah, as we get into some of these bigger ones, I'm gonna be, that's where I was gonna be talking to you or Jeff.
Okay.
Some of that stuff is for Andrew to help as well. But that makes sense. It all makes sense, and we don't have to go, that way we're not, I'd rather get it right once. I actually, have a quota as to how many times per week I could say right over rush. Friday, and I haven't hit it yet, so
There you go.
I kind of forced that one in.
next one up is retirement of school facilities. This would be if you have a building that you're not going to use anymore as a school. You have to go through a study to see if you can repurpose it. And then ultimately, if you declare it obsolete, it reverts back to the town's control to do whatever they want.
That's standard. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one up is Medfield's naming new facilities. This language only addresses the building, but not parts of a building. This language talks about the buildings, parts of a building, fields, anything with under the school's jurisdiction.
Mhm. There's two parts of it.
Well, there's the naming things and then there's memorials.
Yeah.
Right,
And we do have memorials around.
but they're grandfathered in.
Okay.
And if you look at this language for memorials, permanent, any memorials in existence before the adoption can only be removed by a vote of the committee.
Okay, fine.
So that there should be no fear that by putting this policy in, that means all the memorials go away. They don't. The committee would have to specifically vote to remove it. So our recommendation, Tim, is to adopt a new school facilities, because that way it gives you a procedure for if somebody wanted to name a library or name a classroom or name a field or a,
So we have that, we have to.
yeah. But the your current policy doesn't address a process for that.
That's what I'm saying, we should have a policy.
Right.
That does address that.
If you look at the naming of the facilities language is the same, we just added language to give you cover for a procedure or a process, protection of a process. If all of a sudden somebody wants to name,
What's that? Where is that? Where's that process?
or it's like when the opportunity to name this 1, 2, 3, 4th, when the opportunity to name or dedicate a new school or school-related property structure or facilities for an orderly procedure will be communicated to the next available school committee meeting. Committee's agenda should clearly reflect the intent to consider review or vote on naming opportunities. Submission of a name for a school pace may be made by any resident or by the superintendent. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just people can't show up and ask for you to vote to do it.
Yeah.
There's a process they have to follow. It was to really kind of protect existing facilities or something that's currently named from being renamed without, in the height of emotion.
Okay, so and we've, I get that, and then is there a way we flag that's, we strike the old?
Yep.
The new has the old plus.
Yeah,
this.
it's facility, I'll put it here, facilities. And spaces.
And the, what's new for us, though, is the language around. process.
Fields.
Deal. Specific names.
No, I don't,
Grounds.
but then they're adding the language around. We had that,
You know what
Right.
I'll do?
but we didn't have to process it.
I will throw a highlight on here. That's the new. Actually, you know what, to be consistent with what we're doing.
I can check my. Have a little.
I can't use that color, I use this color, it's blue. The news blue,
New blue.
new blue.
And we've been, I do have a code in our.
I saw that.
That makes sense.
And then the last one in this section is governing memorials. It just, again, establishing a process for. I think personally, I think memorials are great. I think perpetual memorials last longer. I mean, I can't tell you how many schools I've visited in my 27 years. And you go, you look at the hallway and you see all these plaques about, this principal student of the year. And the last time anybody was named to it was 12 years ago. And all the little spaces are blank. It's like just somebody forgot and it doesn't continue anymore. Scholarships are always the best way to go. And that's section F. I'll leave on that.
Wow. Michael was the one who suggested, that we may be able to go through. E, F, and G. Do we want to?
I don't think you'll get through G. I have no problems starting it if you want. I mean, we had till 11, so.
I'm just looking.
Let me just double check to see how big this file is.
I guess you didn't see it earlier, if, can I share for 1 second?
This section is 76 pages.
So well, I'll just say it too, I think that'll be a fair amount to consume to bring forward in a meeting anyways.
Yep.
So for everybody else.
The way you do it is that you just bring it forward first, and then the second time is the first reading.
Right, it's
Right.
informational first reading and second reading. But
In the calendar we just adopted, our next meeting is scheduled for G&H anyway.
Correct, and we've, Michael, you weren't here. But
You can pull that up.
we have,
No,
The goal is to get it done.
it's a good spreadsheet. I like it. I'm gonna steal it.
I'm really hopeful that when I go to the MASC, meeting, he's gonna say, these guys from Medfield, they came up with a couple best practices, and this is how you wanna, you may even want to guest speaker and say, oh, we have to get through this, stop conversation. We have many, but no, this side, I'll give some credit to Andrea as well, is we've just been keeping track of
Yep.
each of these reviews. Then we bring forward information, first reading, second reading. And then what we did at the beginning was we tried to say every other week to get through each of these. We assume things get canceled once in a while, but we theoretically do have a schedule that we.
Do you want to put the categories under like G's personnel?
Yeah, I was just,
Okay.
when I was just doing that for my own, but I think
Okay.
it maybe, like in theory, I would almost do this, G, that's personnel, I just didn't want to get.
Yeah.
To spell that correctly.
Yep. H is negotiations.
This is good, because you're eager for me to share it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, I think personnel negotiation.
But I think it's also going to help when we, like, I'm going to send you I and J. Do you already have G and H? You do. And I know you have G.
I haven't, the way we've been doing it so far is you're reviewing it here,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's going into.
Okay. All right.
Then, and the thing that I'm suggesting is we conduct that review.
Yep.
With your suggestions. And then I was thinking of adding a column between merge doc and informational. That is just a checkbox that says somebody from the administration has also reviewed those. That's how I was looking at it. And part of that is we've had some times where right up until the meeting before
Right.
you get to it. So if that's happening, that's okay. Right. So as opposed to forcing it out there. So that's why I've been saying that. Like that's right now working for us. And I don't want to.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, unfortunately, so.
The only suggestion I have to that is those two sections,
Is G-
I and J, that
Yeah, okay, I hear what you said.
the administration reviews them prior to me coming here. So that because there's a lot of stuff in, like, if you look at section I, instruction, that covers everything from internet technology use to reconsideration of instructional materials, to library books, to animals in schools, to it's gonna, there's a section of it that's gonna have to be updated with the new sexual education regulations. So all that stuff is in section I, promotion, retention,
So
graduation
and now
requirements.
that's a good reminder
you
too.
know.
And what Jim said earlier, we just looked at calendars while we had Leo. That was the intention. Even we are sticking to our agenda because we do this. But Jim did say his recommendation would be you guys review before he brings it in.
Yeah, so I'll talk to Jeff. It might be something we can throw into like the leadership
Right.
meeting to review.
In advance, so that we are.
So
Right.
if you don't, yeah, so we'll talk to Jeff about that.
Okay. Because if you look at it, I is, October 27th, if we can follow this schedule. So it's, the end of the month. And then J is the following week. which is all the student stuff.
And student stuff usually falls in the,
Principals,
correct.
right? So pick a principal and what to or whatever, and maybe they can split it up.
So what we're gonna do, Michael, is update this a little more for clarity. And then see if we can bring that forward, because I think but now you can look at it.
Yeah.
When I explain it, especially to everyone, it just makes sense as soon as you.
Yeah.
look at
And
it.
so G and H is gonna move to informational for school committee, right? That's the next step.
That would be the next step, but you shouldn't put the dates in there till it
Correct.
actually happens.
Yeah.
Cause I have to send you the version 2.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he'll send us E and F,
So it'll be EV2 and FV2.
and
And then you put the date
that
when it
goes
goes to
to-
the committee.
yeah, that goes into information.
Yeah.
So the changes he's made today, we're bringing them forward. And I'm saying, look, we've reviewed,
Yeah.
but it's wide open for conversation in the group.
Yeah, all right.
So that's how we're generally following it. And I do think it's worthwhile that all along we said, let's do a few before we kind of hard
Right.
the process.
And Tim, when do you want this phase of it to end, like the actual?
So if we hold to this schedule, right, we would be into January, because if it's a 12-1 review here, it's, first reading December, second reading January.
So this
February.
part
This
would be
part
done
end
by the end of the calendar year.
calendar year, correct.
And then it would be the school committee's calendar moving forward.
And then it goes back to you guys.
And then once it's adopted, then we produce the final version, which is takes all the edits out and cleans it up, and then upload it.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how fast the committee moves
Mhm.
at that point, because I can't do anything. I can't upload it until they approve it.
And again, this is repetitive, but it makes it easier to also explain to others as I say it.
Sure.
That's why we're voting for it. We're voting for approval in form.
Mhm.
So in form continues to stack up. Then once we have that final.
And then once all 12 are in form, then the motion is typically motion to approve the policy manual sections A through L as we have previously approved in form and rescind all previous versions of the policy manual.
Okay.
That's the motion.
That's the final one.
And then when that passes, that's the adoption date. And if the committee wanted to, they could say, and this manual will be effective, whatever that date is. So you might, if you're close to the end of the school year, you may want to say that this manual will be effective July 1. So that you don't have
Yeah.
2 policy manuals in the same school year, but that depends.
No, thank you.
Yep.
I actually think that would be a reasonable target to get through most of the work. To get it through first reading, second reading, et cetera, at a pace that everybody is comfortable, right?
So
at
if
least
you're
we
moving,
have-
if every meeting you're moving 2 sections up the chain, you should be able to finish this by the end of the school year.
Yeah. Which is.
Just don't skip a meeting.
Don't get it, I think we're okay,
Yeah.
and that's why I was okay saying, we'll give an update at the October 12th meeting.
Yep.
And effectively voting on A, B, C, and D, because it just gives everybody a little more time to reabsorb. And then we're pretty much stacked, we're stacked right in through.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, that I do start to understand that we have this, we just don't want too much time to pass.
Right.
Between doing this and
Right.
bringing it forward.
Because then you forget what some of the discussion items were at this meeting.
Correct, and that's the one area that I'm even suggesting with Andrea,
Yeah.
they want to review
So
this to help with the minutes. Just because there are some things, like I'm gonna say to the group, look, there are some discussion, I don't have a memory for everything.
Mhm.
That we would say reference the meeting.
Yep.
So ideally would be, did ENF today? ideally that would go to the next school committee for informational, right? That's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we're.
Yeah.
That's what the hope is. And then I can share this with you as well.
Yeah, that'd be
And
great.
then because that gives you your quote deadlines. Hey, I need to get this V2 back to us.
Yeah.
But that should work. And the V2s are the ones that we're.
the ones that go into the information.
Right.
Correct. And even if you check our website, like now we have A, B, C, D as to where it sits. So it's working pretty well.
All right.
Okay, I think we are good. Again, Leo had to go to a wake, so motion, I don't know that I can officially
You can just close it.
close the
You
meeting.
don't need a motion.
So, okay, great.